Alright guys, welcome back to Construction Business TV Idaho. My name's Tyson, I'm your video journalist for CBTV, and we're on the special, we said Grammy nominated episode 11 of the Idaho Falls Auditorium series, where we take you behind the scenes once a month to cover the progress of the Mountain America Event Center in Idaho Falls. We've of course got, as always, Rob Spear, Executive Director of the Idaho Falls Auditorium District. Normally we have Malone Bullock with us today. He's absent, getting his hands dirty, I assume.
Well, we actually gave Malone some time off. He's been working on this project from day one, so Malone is taking a well-deserved vacation.
Excellent, excellent, well-deserved, absolutely. So we've got a couple of guests who's going to be helping us with some of the things we're going to be covering today. Can you guys introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Rick Lawrence, Project Manager with Bateman-Hall.
And I'm Eric Hudson. I'm the General Manager of the Mountain America Center.
Excellent. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks.
So it's been a little bit of time since we've been out here. Can you give us a rundown on what we have to look forward to today?
Well, Tyson, we have a lot to look forward to today and catch up. But first of all, you can see right behind us here the wonderful entryways. And this is being constructed as we speak. You can see the masonry going up. And I know the other day somebody asked me the question, you know, this building, as you'll recall, was a tilt-up panel process where it was all done on the ground and tilted in place. But the entryways are a little bit different. And so there's no better person to tell us why that is other than Rick Lawrence. So Rick, tell us why the entryways had to be designed and constructed a little differently.
Well, mainly it's aesthetic purposes, and it's built this way so we can actually get the storefronts and all the doors, entries in, and it just looks a lot better. There'll be canopies here, there'll be soffits, lots of lighting around to invite everybody into the building, and it's just going to give it a really sharp look and appearance on the outside.
So a lot of work being done, not only on this main entryway, but there's two other main entryways, actually 4 entryways with canopies on all 4 of them. Those are being constructed as we speak. But what's really fun is we want to get inside and check out the installation of the ice rink. Right now we're here and we can see the actual start of the installation of the ice rink. This has been a long-awaited process. One of the big milestone dates is going to be July 22nd when the actual concrete is going to be poured over that. But until we get to that point, a lot of work had to be done. And one of the things that you can see in here is there is an installation of the preliminary structure, which was strange to me, hot water, Eric. So yeah. Tell us about the hot water.
So the ice floor actually has layers to it, and the bottom layer is a hot water loop. So the floor will be chilled to right around 12 to 15 degrees regularly, but what we're trying to avoid with the hot water loop is to have any type of permafrost buildup. The permafrost is a death sentence for any ice rink because it causes heaving in the structure, and eventually, if it gets bad enough, it'll start to push the dasher boards out, and it'll make the playing surface unsafe.
Very interesting. Who would have thought that you'd have hot water as part of a frozen ice rink? But obviously, Rick, a lot more detail is going into that. So maybe you can update us. Not only has that hot water piping been installed, but as we can see here, a big significant piece of it is bringing all that sand in. And then now we can start to see, I believe it's the start of the insulation on top of it.
Yeah, it is, Rob. So what takes place is after the initial piping is in, then they come and put a sand layer over the top. And over that is a vapor barrier, plastic, and then 2 layers of the insulation followed by another vapor barrier layer, and then on top of that comes all of the chill piping. And once that's in place, then we have rebar and welded wire fabric installed on top. We have all of the inserts put in for the performances, and after that then they're ready to pour the actual refrigeration slab.
A lot of work still to be done, but a lot of very important work. Eric, I think you mentioned to me that the final product of that ice is 1 inch thick.
Yes.
And that seemed to be, you know, a lot of people think, myself included, thought it'd be 4 or 5 inches, but maybe you could talk about the layering that ice, getting it prepared, and the 1 inch thickness.
You know, so, you know, I like the ice to be about 1 inch, 1.25 inches thick, and that allows us to, you know, to repair and maintain it. You know, simple physics, you add some water to cold and it freezes, but you know, the biggest thing is if it gets too thick, then the slab has to work harder to chill it and freeze the water. So there's a happy median there between too thick, too thin that we want to target, and that's an inch and a quarter. The other thing is when we're trying to cover the floor with the ice deck. Ice deck is used for concerts. If the floor is too thick, the insulation product won't do its job, and we might end up with some extra moisture on the actual floor itself. So we want to avoid any humidity issues.
You mentioned something very interesting there. I know a lot of people are saying, well, every time you have a concert other than a concert or a comedy act, do you have to thaw the ice and get rid of it? But no, you talked about the ice deck that goes over the top of it. Yeah,
so what happens is it's about 10,000 gallons of water that's laid on the ice floor, inch and a half thick. When we have an event that's one of our first sold out concert, we'll have the inch thick fiberglass flooring. It's an insulated flooring. It allows us to keep the patrons at a reasonable room temperature, but also keep the cool air tight into the ice so it doesn't melt.
So Rick, as far as the rest of the installation, I know we mentioned earlier at the start of this, the milestone date being July 22nd. So talk about that process and what's going to happen on that day. And really what I think the viewers would like to know is the amount of concrete that's actually going to be poured that day.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Yeah, so on that day we'll pour 300 cubic yards of concrete on there. And the process is pretty simple. We start it very early in the morning, probably around 4 or 4:30 a.m. And we'll continue to get trucks in during the day. They'll actually pump the concrete in through a slick line out here, and as they start at one end, they'll continue to move those pieces as they fill it up. And it takes about approximately 5 hours to get the concrete down, and then we'll spend another 5 to 6 hours, depending on temperature and humidity. That'll determine how long we have to finish it.
Yeah, and also, so once that's done, it's very critical that it cures properly. Absolutely. And so that cure time is how long until you can actually access that concrete?
So the concrete has to cure for 14 days. It's actually a wet cure. And there's a product that we put on top of the ice, and then we soak that, and then we don't have to add any more water to it. It actually cures itself over that 14-day period. Once that is over with, then we need to take all of that material out, and then once that's completed, we put the expansion joint around, let it dry, and then we can cover it with 3/4 inch plywood all the way on the ice, and that allows us to drive our lifts back in here to be able to work to finish the rest of the work in the ceiling.
And one of the things we touched upon in earlier episodes, we talked about sequencing. And it's one of the things Bateman-Hall's done an unbelievable job on this project is sequencing and getting all those contractors in here. So what happens after the ice rink is in? We're going to have significant work to be done, and there's a bunch of trades that have to complete work in the bowl area.
Right, so there's a lot of work that has to continue up there. We'll finish the painting, and once that's finished, then we'll go up and we'll start getting ready to test and balance all the HVAC equipment and get that finished off. There's a lot of grills that need to be installed up there with dampers in them. And then after that's completed, then we'll put the lapidary and we'll put the acoustical baffles up in the ceiling. And that's quite a process. So there's hundreds of these that have to be installed at the top of the ceiling, way above the steel. And that's where you get all of your soundproofing from. Not to mention that there'll be time right after that for putting in scoreboards and the acoustical wall panels that run around the ribbon board.
Certainly the viewer will get an opportunity to see that process as it evolves, but let's go check out some additional progress at the Mountain America Center. Here we are right inside the Blue Cross of Idaho convention space, and this is really coming together rather well. As you can see here behind us, the doors are now installed, all the windows. It's a magnificent entryway. This main part here is the foyer area. It's going to be great for receptions. And Rick, tell us how close we are to actually completing this space here and what needs to be done.
Well, Rob, we're in the final stages. I mean, obviously we're finishing the drywall right now. We have the storefronts installed. We're getting ready to start the drop-in ACT ceilings and just start with finish paint. Soon after that, it'll probably be maybe a month and a half from now, floors will be going in, and we'll just get to that point.
Yeah. So let's walk inside this facility here, and I want to get Eric's opinion on this convention space. So Eric, here we are inside the convention space, and I know you have watched this evolve since you've been on board for about 3 months. And tell us about the type of events that can be held in this space and the number of people that can actually sit and utilize this space.
Yeah, I mean, so I think this will probably be the busiest space in the whole facility. I would imagine with the flexibility inside the 6,000 square feet that are in here and the additional 3,000 plus out there, that we'll be able to host any type of large conferences, banquet style meetings, expos in compliments to the arena, which has another 28,000 square feet of space. We also have a great catering kitchen to go with it. And if you think about catering, we can do a buffet style meals or anything up to a high class prime rib plated dinner. So this space will be used probably 150 to 200 times a year, and we're really looking forward to it.
I think that's a great episode for the future, is to actually talk about the food and beverage and talk about the great things that you have planned for the concession area. And certainly we want to showcase the ability to serve a large amount of people with the kitchen space that we have. So I think the last thing we want to look at, Tyson, is get outside. And one of the key things of this facility is security. So we'll look at the initial phases of the security that's being installed. So here we are right outside the Blue Cross Convention Space. And what you see right next to us here are things called bollards. And Rick, tell us about the significance of bollards and why they're installed around this building.
Well, Rob, the main purpose for these are obviously to protect pedestrians and to keep any automobiles or anything that happens to be rolling along this way away from the building. And it just basically is a life safety type of protection for the building.
So one of the things I noticed when they were constructing these is, and maybe we can get down there a little further, but they actually dug a big trench, poured some footings, and then installed the bollards on it. And I think these bollards go down about 4 or 5 feet, if I'm correct, and then they're going to be filled with cement. So really a good thing to have structurally for protection around this building.
Yeah, I agree. Generally, these are buried equidistance, just as much in the ground as there is above, and that's basically to provide as much protection as possible.
So Eric, obviously as a general manager, the thing that you always want to see is great security in this building, and this is, of course, just the start of it. And one of the things we really look forward to is future episodes, talking about your background, talking about the number of events that are going to come in here. So maybe to tease the viewer a little bit, just tell us a little bit about what you've been involved in since you started.
Since I started here, so just over 3 months ago, 90 days, and since I've gotten here, really the phone hasn't stopped ringing for people that want to bring in all types of events, sporting events, large and small, state, regional, concerts. Obviously, we've got some big concerts plans for this facility, some of the best artists in the United States and North America. But other activities that are really community driven and region driven, outdoor expos, fishing expos, recreational vehicle items. This facility will have everything and anything, and we're also focused on our community partnerships, giving back and then meeting the local folks around the area.
Well, to borrow a phrase you always use, this facility is going to be a game changer.
That's my favorite one, so it is.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for episode 11 of the special Mountain America Event Center edition of Construction Business TV Idaho. I'd say that this has been the best episode. Yeah, this has been the most, we've had a lot of stuff to show off here today.
We have, and it's exciting. We're meeting our milestones and we're on target. People always ask, when are you going to open? The certificate of occupancy is 11/21/22, so this thing will be open this fall, late this fall.
I'm going to throw a real quick question at our two special guests of honor. This type of work that you guys do, what is if you could name one thing that you say brings you the most fulfillment in this line of work? I don't know if you're familiar with the channel with Construction Business TV, but that is always the direction that we try to take these episodes, is helping people understand the value in this type of work, try to reinvigorate interest and a passion in blue collar work and industrial work and working with your hands. What would you say has been your best sense of fulfillment in building something like this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've been involved with about 4 or 5 major construction projects that surround arenas in my career. The one thing that I will say that really goes unnoticed, and a special credit to Bateman-Hall and the other contractors out there that are working on this project, is just the experience that people are going to get and the magnitude of this facility. I mean, it has economic impact for the region. It's going to help businesses thrive in the area. It'll draw people to the region for events, but also the community users. You know, the hockey players are going to use it, figure skaters will use it, community businesses will use it. So it's just an all-encompassing facility, but it wouldn't be possible without people like Bateman-Hall and the contractors out here building such a magnificent building. So I wanted to definitely highlight that. That's probably my favorite part.
I like that a lot. What would you have to say?
Well, I think the main thing for us is just the team that we have put together in building this. So we've got a great owner, we've got great operator, we have some incredible superintendents, our project partner Hogan, ourselves, Bateman-Hall. We have a great team that really takes pride in their work and just really wants to, you know, we own this while it's in construction. Soon it transfers to Rob and then to Eric, but for us, we own it now and we really take pride in the build and we want everything to go right, and it's good to have that and a good design team with us as well.
Very cool. So a quick question for Rob. We've got something big coming up here just in what, 3 weeks that we're going to be here covering. What do we have to look forward to?
Well, that's going to be a very exciting day, one of the major milestones of this facility, and that is where the ice rink is going to be poured. The concrete's going to come in, and as Rick mentioned earlier, 300 yards of concrete are going to be poured that day. So certainly we'd love to have Construction Business TV on site that day to capture that moment.
I think that's something that the viewers at home are definitely going to want to take a look at. So we'll be there on that day. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in and viewing Construction Business TV. Thank you so much for your support and your subscriptions. We're less than 20 subscribers away from hitting our 1,000 subscriber milestone. We couldn't be more excited for that. If you haven't yet, button's right at the bottom. You can hit subscribe and you can keep up to date on the updates that we do with the Mount America Event Center, as well as several construction projects throughout the Idaho Falls area. Thank you guys again so much for your time and your support, and you drive safe.